is going to be long, and it's going to be filled with lots of tidbits on skin smoothing and on color adjusting and skin tones, which is a big pet peeve of mine. There's a huge trend in some of the industries, and you'll see a lot of presets where skin tones are really orange and or really washed out. And I'm a really big believer that there are definitely fads and trends that come into photography. But, you know, 20 years from now, no one wants to look at their baby being orange or their wedding pictures and everything being all monochromatic, meaning all the same color. So um, I like a classic approach, and yes, you can tweak it, and there are styles in there, but I really think that skin tones should look like people's skin and not Oompa Loompas. So that's just me. But I just wanted to go over a few things. So we're going to start with, we're going to show you how to fix hazes. I'm going to show you, look at this little guy. I'm going to show you how to fix exposure, which this one is overexposed, and skin tones on babies and all sorts of things. So we have a lot to go over in this lesson. So we're going to start with this baby right here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to crop so that the baby... All right. Now, little tidbits that make all the difference. This picture probably, I would like a little bit more to a background than that, but I needed to center it. So I'm going to just do a little bit of content aware, just a little bit. I don't want to overwhelm content aware, but I'm going to bring it down just so that I have a little bit more background, and we'll see how it does with all this background. All right, so I'm going to go into my magic selector, magic wand. I'm going to go in and hit fill. We'll see what it does. It's always interesting to me to see how well Photoshop does. I'm also going to show you how to, using what we call liquify, how to get rid of this little bump here so that it's nice and smooth. And just little tips and tricks. Like, these are just the littlest things, but they help so much when it comes to presenting an overall picture. You now know how to adjust exposure and color and how to mask, all in, small amounts. Content aware is taking its time tonight as I record this. And there it goes. All right. So it did a really good job. Good job, content aware. Down here, we might fix it just a little bit. So there's no lines. We might come over here and just kind of, sometimes you'll get that message. It means that you haven't selected enough. But I just wanted to get rid of those lines. There we go. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, you see how this is not nice and smooth? This is a trick. I'm going to go up to filter. Okay, I'm going to go to liquify. And here comes liquify is a filter. It's another layer. And it's working. Okay, now you want to make sure, let me get rid of that. You want to make sure that it's on push left over here, okay? And we want to make sure our brush size is about 500. Your pressure is really low, and your density is about 25. And just make sure that everything else is checked the way that I have it. Okay, show image. We don't want to show grid lines. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and I'm just going to take this a little bit. And you see how I can move it up or down. And that way, this all looks nice and smooth. Sometimes when we put babies on the blanket, it doesn't look smooth. And you see one of the other things, I mean, these are just little things, but I just want to smooth out so that the hat doesn't have any funny, so that it looks like he's got a nice round head. Um, it's just going to make a big difference in the end all. Sometimes if it's too squishy here, I will use this to unsquish it. This one I didn't need to. If their butt is a little bony, I sometimes will plump it up by doing it like that. Okay, so do you see all the little things that I'm doing to make just micro changes? Just that's what you need to remember, micro changes. Okay, so that's all I needed to do. So I did that with the Liquify. Just make sure that everything was checked. So you can see, I'm just going to do a quick screenshot and you can see the difference so far. Okay, just a little bit, not a lot. Okay, so we need to get rid of his little bottom. He's got a little bit of a rash, so one of the things that I can do this in a couple of ways. The first thing I can do is I'm going to use the patch tool, and I'm just going to come in and patch. It's just so that there's no real red. No parent wants to see their baby's bottom. Now, I will say that sometimes mamas and daddies don't want to see such a defined baby crack. And so the way that I do that is just to soften it up a little bit is I go up to my brush tool, make sure I'm in a soft round brush. Okay, I'm going to lower it. I'm going to make sure I'm at a really low opacity, probably like 15. And then I'm going to come into my color selector and I'm going to choose a color that's, right around here. And then I'm just going to lightly go over that area. It's just a way of just not making it as defined. Okay, so you see all that. First, we want to take away the orangeness in him. So you can do that in several ways. You can go into color balance, and you can, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. You can make him a little less yellow. Okay, but see, now I made him blue. So, that's, you just kind of play with what gives you what you like. I always come into desaturation and I'm going to desaturate just a smidge. So you can do that through another layer. Hue, saturation. I'm going to saturation. I'm going to desaturate just a little bit. Maybe 5. Okay. So our skin tones are a little bit better. See, we are here. And even before it was there, and now we're here. See the difference? Okay, I'm going to go back up to this because I'm going to show you another way to adjust skin tones. I'm going to go into filter, then camera raw filter. And I'm going to go into the color selector and I'm just going to pull down that orange. Orange is the big thing, orange and yellows. Okay. And that immediately takes it to just a little bit more of a natural color. So, it was here and now we're here. And that's pretty good. Okay. So I'm going to flatten my layers because I'm ready to do something different. Now what I want to do is smooth out a little bit of this. Do you see? This is just baby skin, and it's not bad, but I'm just going to smooth out a little bit of the speckledness. And the way I do that is a soft round brush, and I'm going to color select. And so I'm just going to come in, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm at a really low opacity. And I'm just going to come in, and I'm just going to lightly brush over where I was. Whoop. And then if I move up, I'm going to have to choose a different color. Now, a good thing to do, you can see right here, we're going to want to choose a different color and get, that's from his diaper. And then I might patch a little bit just to smooth it out a little bit. A good thing to do is to do this in a layer. I didn't do that, but it would help you because it would mean that you can adjust. So now we want babies looking like babies, and he's got a little piece of dry skin that I'm going to take out there. We don't want them looking like dolls. So his skin is perfect up here. I mean, there's nothing I would change there. So to me, I've really done what I needed to do. So I'm going to show you. That was the first one. And you see how that just makes all the difference. So if we come from the first one to that one, we just have smoothed it out so that the skin looks really pretty. Okay, I'm going to go to this picture. This picture has got some color issues, and then it also has it's very overexposed. Well, not very, but it is overexposed. So I want to show you how I'll fix that. I'm going to just come in so that we can see the dad and his son. The first thing you're going to do is go into your layers, and you're going to come into your curves. And we're just going to bump that down a little. Maybe not that much. I maybe need to bring it up. Ooh. Okay, so I may have to work in 2 layers here because little boy is much fairer than dad. So that's good. So I'm going to snapshot it. I'm going to flatten, and then I'm going to bring dad down a little bit more, just a little bit more. And we're going to go back in, and I'm going to mask off the little boy. Whoops. I probably need a little bit more opacity. Sorry, guys. I'm obviously... So he was a little bit... And you can see how that's a little bit overexposed. But in the grand scheme of things... Now, I will say I liked my top being brighter, so I can come in and mask off some of that in the background. But dad and him look a lot better. I'm going to finish up what I would do with this picture. Okay. The greens are way too green. So again, this is where I go into filter. And actually I need to flatten, otherwise it will never work. I'm going to go into filter, then camera raw. And I'm going to go, and I'm going to, they're too yellow for me. You may like them that color, but for me, I don't like them that color. And you can see, I mean, I can really take the greens way down. And I can add a little bit of blue blue tones. I can put a little bit of blue tone, more blue in Dad. I'm going to take down the orange just a smidge because he was looking a little orange. All right. So again, a lot of that is personal preference on what you like. So this is where they were. Dad still can come down just a little bit. So I'm going to take my Dodge tool and in midtones, and I'm just going to rub it over Dad's head just a little. And then I'm going to do my my shadows, and I'm going to use I said Dodge tool, I meant burn tool, I'm sorry. And I just darkened him a little bit. And I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to do at a very low opacity in my midtones. I'm just going to do the bottom part because I like, again, I always like the focus. I'm going to pull out some of these pinks a little bit by coming in and doing saturation, just a teeny bit. They were there because of the blossoms. Okay. Let's come in and look at how we're doing on skin tones. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I could get rid of those under Dad's eyes. I'm not going to. I think everything looks really good. He is super fair, and that's just his skin tones. So to me, this looks good. The only thing that I might do is I would like it a little bit cooler. So I am going to come in and go into my color and just kind of make it just a little bit, not too much, on the bluer side. And then I'm going to pull them back in to the color that they were. So I just like the background a little bit cooler. Okay. Now, one thing that I'm going to do, and someone asked me like how much time I spend on an image like this, this kind of stuff. So you see that hose. I don't want that. So I'm going to get rid of that with using my patch tool. I don't want that blue spot. You can see how I can come in and fix those things. And so, yeah, someone asked me like how long I spend on an image. I can do this really quick. Like I'm doing it kind of slow for you guys, but I can do it really quick. I'm going to add a little bit of contrast to this image just to sharpen it up a little bit. So I'm going to come into my layer like I did, and then I'm going to hit brightness and contrast, and sorry. I'm going to do that again. We're going to undo those, and I'm going to flatten. Just so, flattening, like I said, always takes you back to ground zero. So we're going to come in, brightness, a little bit, and a little bit of contrast, just to it kind of adds a little bit of sharpness to the image. Okay, so let's see where we are. So that was my original, and this is my new one. Micro changes, micro things just makes all the difference, right? Now, you can keep the grass bright green and still make changes on his skin tones and stuff. One thing I did see on Dad that we were going to fix. So often the sun was just poking through and he started to squint. Right here, if I use the mask tool and take that away, he won't look like he's squinting anymore. So I know it's just a little bit less squint. Okay? Yay! I'm going to go ahead and save this image since I need to edit this for a session, and that way it's done. I got one done. So that's just how you would do some overexposure and skin tones. Okay, let's go to another one. And we're going to do that one last because that one's hard. That's how to fix haze. Okay, this is another one in skin tones. So she's a little red because she's been out in the sun. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to go into Camera Raw. And I'm going to take down that red just a smidge and the orange just a smidge. Now, just a little bit. You see how it's not like, I mean, I don't want to take the coloring out of them. I just want to take the redness out. So, you know, you see the difference, this to this. Not a lot, just a little. I do want to brighten up her face a little bit. So I'm going to come in and just a little bit brighten up on that side. I'm going to darken down here just because I'm trying to draw into her face. Okay, so she's got beautiful skin. She doesn't need a lot of smoothing, but I'm going to show you how we can do a little bit of smoothing. The first thing is I'm going to come in and color select. So I'm just going to do around her cheeks, her nose, and her T-zone. All right, so we're going to come down. And I'm going to come down to a really low opacity. Make sure your flow and your opacity are low. And I'm just going to slowly... Now, I would suggest that you do this in a layer. So we're going to do Command J so that you're in an additional layer. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to... You've got to continue to color select whenever you change locations because the skin changes. You know, our skin changes so much. So on this side of the nose, I'm going to be a different color than on the other side. I'm going to do a little bit on her chin, just a little bit. Okay. One of the things that I like to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to darken her lashes a little bit. Just in the shadows, and I'm just going to come over the base, and you don't want to do too much, but we're just bringing a little bit of, okay. Okay, so you see how we just smoothed her out just a little bit. It's just enough to add a little bit of softness to her skin tones. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of brightness to this image and a little bit of contrast, just a smidge. And I think I like that. And I like her skin. It just gives her this soft prettiness. Her lips probably could use just a little bit just because this is a close-up picture of her lips. So I'm going to go in. Lips are hard to do. Chapped lips are really hard to do. But I'm going to go in with a soft round brush and just kind of soften. And you kind of have to go, if you're going to do, like she's got, so you just have to kind of come in and choose those different colors. Make sure you're choosing, because you don't want to change her lip color. We're just softening it up. All right. Yeah, that looks so much better. I mean, just little bits, but it does. Look, see? Yay. Okay. Um, let's see. All right. So this picture, we have some haze stuff going on. Haze is really hard to get out of a picture. I'm cropping it in just so that it makes it look better. If I see haze in my camera, I'm usually going to move my clients so that I don't have it unless I'm really trying to get it. And I'm going to tell you this little guy's out of focus, but this picture will help me show you how to get rid of some of the haze. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my levels and I'm going to go to layers. I'm going to go to levels. And I'm going to make sure I bring that dark all the way over. So that right there will do a lot. Okay. So that in itself, like, I probably wouldn't mess with it a lot more, but obviously he's a little bit in that haze. So I want to give a little bit more contrast so that it matches. I'm going to come into my burn tool and I'm going to make sure I'm in shadows, low opacity, and I'm going to come in. Whoops. Okay, you can't do burn on top of a layer. So I've got to flatten. And I'm just going to add just a little bit more darkness to the darks because the haze takes out that contrast. And so you can see. But what I should have done is do it in a layer. So I created a new layer, and you'll see why, so that I can mask. So I'm going to run this over the dark parts of the picture that I want. Okay, but you can see how I have made, you don't want all that part right there. I'm going to lower the opacity just a little bit because it's a little bit too much. And then I'm going to come in with my mask tool. Actually, sorry. You see how that wasn't in the right? And I'm going to mask either back on or back. I'm masking back on. That haze around Mom's shirt because I want it to look natural. It looked funny. Okay, and I'm going to just kind of broaden my brush strokes. This is why we use soft round brushes, so we can go back in. And even more so, I need to come in. Whoops. I can really see it. And I'm just gonna, this just takes practice, guys. It just, in order to get it. And then I'm gonna come in with my mask and I'm gonna, just so that I soften up that area a little bit, so that I'm even just gonna get rid of that whole big thing because it can be distracting. So I use the tool, the masking tool, to kind of soften up the area so that, it just looks a little bit more natural. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add another bit of levels to the whole thing because now they're all looking about the same, right? Yeah. Um, I've got, some issues going on over there, so I'm going to help you fix that. We're going to first come in and just make sure that it's starting to look, pretty natural. That color, you can change it by doing desaturation. So if you don't like that yellow glow, I can come in and take my desaturation tool, and that gets rid of some of that. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to add just some darkness down along the bottom, just so that it starts to look a little bit more natural and not as hazy. And little guy's shirt. And this little thing is driving me crazy, so I'm going to take that out. You see how I did that? And, that wrinkle, I can pull that out with a patch tool. You see how I'm fixing that? Everything else looks really good. His little eye, like I said, he wasn't in focus. So to me, the skin tones here look great. If you see how there's a little bit on his ear because the light is hitting it, that red, you can come in with a desaturation tool and just take that out if it was really dominant. So let's go back. So we were here, and now we are here. So did you see how I did that? It was just by adding levels and layers. I can come into my contrast, even add a little bit of contrast. That will help. Yeah. I really like this picture. I like the coloring because I think the coloring adds to, where we were. So I wish he had been a little bit more in focus. So I will find another picture where he's in focus. And I actually moved him just because I didn't want the haze. But that shows you how you fix the haze. So we started off with this really hazy picture here, and we came down to this just by adjusting your levels and your contrast. Okay? All right, let's see. Skin tones. One more. I showed you that one. All right, let me find one more skin tone for you guys. And how to smooth. I wasn't going to do this, but I think that it will help a lot in okay. Oh. I don't know if any of you saw that. All right, this will be a good one. All right, so I use raw images, so they're going to open up in Camera Raw first, but I'm going to show you. I'm just going to take it into a JPEG. So I didn't do any adjustments in Camera Raw. If you want to know how to use Camera Raw and you shoot in RAW, let me know, and I would be happy to record a quick tutorial. Actually, maybe I'll do that and put that in the Facebook group. Okay. And this was a senior that I did. She's got actually really pretty skin. But one of the things that I'm going to show you that I will fix with her, and I didn't even check to see if this image was in focus, is that the green. I love this picture. I want this green to be a little bit less yellow. So I'm going to come in to Camera Raw and I'm going to go up to the sliders and I'm going to bring down some of that yellow and I'm going to do some of the green. Ooh, that's so much better. All right. Keeping in mind my rules of thirds, I'm just kind of pulling her off to the side a little bit because it just looks a little bit better. You see how that looks so much better than when she was right in the middle? All right, she's a little overexposed, so I'm going to come in with my brightness and I'm just going to bring it down just a smidge and I'm going to bring up my contrast just a smidge. All right. Now, I still liked the background to be brighter. So I'm gonna, whoop. I'm gonna keep that at this really low opacity and brighten that up. One thing that I want to do is I want to bring the focus to her face. So I'm going to come in with my burn tool in midtones and I'm just going to slowly darken and I love the way that the light is hitting her hair, so I'm just going to darken one side just a smidge. You see that? How I did that? That's kind of a little bit of backlighting that I had going on here, and so yeah. One of the things, guys, just a tidbit, is use things to frame your, if you are doing portraits, use something to frame them, you know, to create depth. So I've got 3 layers here. I've got, you know, the background that I obviously have bokeh out, and then I have her, and then I'm using this branch to frame her. And it just draws, it creates interest and draws you in to your subject. Say I wanted this whole image, like the background, to be a little bit bluer so it wasn't matchy-matchy. I do like it the way it is, but I'm going to come into my color balance and I'm going to go into the blues a little bit. Okay, or say I didn't like that, I wanted to go more red. No, I actually like it like that, but I want to keep her the way she is, so I'm going to mask that off. And even her, you see? So we're here. And did you see how quick that, I mean, that just didn't take any time at all. If I want to smooth out her face a little bit, so I can bring down a little bit. I like the brightness around her. Yeah, so we're going to do that. I'm going to flatten, and then I'm going to zoom in, and I'm just going to come in, and I'm going to, I use a makeup artist with my seniors, and so I don't have to do any touch-ups. That's one of the reasons I use a makeup artist, is that I don't have to smooth, but just if I needed to. I would go into soft round brush. I would click her skin. So just say I wanted to go right underneath her eyes a little bit. I'm going to come in and I'm going to just, oh, that's too much. And let's do this in a layer. Command or Control J. Because, so say I did that and I came in and it was like, whoa, wait, way too much. I could come in and really lower that opacity like that. And then I could even take away what we did over here. And now we have we're here and there. And actually, whatever I did on that last one, that didn't look good. So I wanted to go back. Okay. And then if I wanted to, like, even add more brights, so I could go into my, well, my highlights, I'm going to dodge, and I can bring out these whites even just a little bit more to add a little bit more contrast. And I could go into my burn and go into my shadows and really bring the darks there. If they were going to put this, like if they had decided that this was something they wanted to put on a wall, I would probably, spend a little bit more time on this. You see? Yeah. Huge difference, right? All right, guys. So that's how we skin tone, and we soften, and we adjust color. And so I really want to see you guys find someone who has a lot of acne, or where you just feel like you need to smooth out skin tones and adjust the color. I'd love to see what you come up with for that.